All right, welcome back to the show. I think we finally got everybody back where they're supposed to be, including Forrest and I.
You were definitely lost for a second there, Dan.
Oh, yeah.
Not sure where we were, but...
we were around. Oh, my goodness. We're here. Good to have you with us on this Monday edition of the program, and we are rocking and rolling, I think. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the Furman NC State game. We were discussing that before we went into our mass reboot here just a moment ago. But the Paladins, obviously knowing that they were stepping up in competition, knew what the challenge was going to be, and NC State was very, very good. We got zero pressure on Ryan Finley, and he was able to just sit back in the pocket and pick apart our defense all game. And yet we did get a couple of 3-and-outs, a couple of stops that helped keep the game close early on. But ultimately, when you play a game like this, you can't make mistakes, you can't turn the ball over, and you have to hope that the other team turns the ball over significantly. You know, the Auburn-Mercer game was just 24-10 was the final. Auburn turned it over 5 times in that game and still won 24-10.
Just shows how good their defense is. They're holding Mercer down to only 10 points.
Yeah, so and so even with that amount of help, Mercer couldn't completely climb the ladder against a Southeastern Conference opponent. Paladins didn't get any help, and they gave it up 3 times, 2 that led directly to scores. In fact, 1 was an interception return for a touchdown. So when those things happen, it makes it increasingly difficult to pull off the major upset. I think what you hope to get away from in a game like that is to get out of there without getting too banged up, and unfortunately, that was not the case for the Paladins. A.K. Olasanya had a dislocated elbow. In fact, both bones, or 2 bones in the elbow, were dislocated.
Video looks nasty.
Ugly, and I refuse to watch it. It was an ugly injury. And Jordan Harris is likely out for the season from what Clay told us yesterday. That's not 100% for certain yet. But the young defensive tackle has a foot injury. They had him in a boot after the game, and chances are that his year is done. So the linebacker spot took another hit with Olasanya out. So that's your top 3 linebackers who have missed games because of injuries. Woodruff is out for the year. Olasanya is going to be out for an extended period of time. They're hoping to get Alex Birch back this coming week. But more and more of these freshmen are playing. 25 freshmen played against NC State on Saturday. And at one juncture in the second half, 7 of the 11 defensive players on the field were freshmen.
It's quite an outstanding number there, Dan. Obviously, 25 is just a little bit more than half of the freshmen on the roster. So it's a tough way to go about your business with that, especially against the FBS team. And 7 players on defense against a really talented NC State offense. It's just really thrown them into the fire, essentially, with not much protection. But that's just what the Paladins have to roll with right now, with all the injuries and just the lack of seniors and upperclassmen on the defensive side of the ball, too. So, but I think in the long term, this is going to be good for the freshmen. Might not see many benefits this year, but I think next year, maybe definitely in 2 years down the road, we're going to see this experience really pay off for the Paladins on the defensive side of the ball.
Well, Clay said last night that as of today, he's going to stop telling these guys they're freshmen. You know, his attitude is going to be, you've played 3 games going back to the beginning of fall camp. You've had now 8 weeks of practice and games. This is what we've got to go with. This is the circumstance we're in, and we're just going to go play, and that's it.
I mean, I'd say after facing a team like NC State in Raleigh, that definitely warrants him for not being freshmen anymore, because they have been through the, no pun intended, the wolf's den, if you will.
Yeah, so, I mean, look, and they're still going to make mistakes.
Yeah, no doubt,
no question.
Even seniors do. So,
yeah. But you got a bunch of guys getting opportunities early, and now we're going to see if they can take advantage of it.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to prove themselves early, Dan. I think so. But there were a few bright spots, I thought, on the offensive side of the ball. Keelan Dirks, man, he really impressed me in the last few drives. Just the will for him to push forward and keep his feet chopping. and he was just a hard back to bring down on Saturday for the NC State defense. So, and before that, we didn't really see too much penetration from the up back, and obviously that's very important in this style of offense when you have the triple option format running. You got to establish the middle so you can go out wide and even pass the ball deep downfield and kind of pull those linebackers and safeties up just a little bit more to kind of beat into the spot. So
the issue with Keelan has never been running the football.
Yep.
The issue with Keelan is the other things that go along with being a college football running back, and primarily blocking, being able to recognize what block should be made, being willing to make those blocks. Yeah. But Clay said on his show last night that Keelan is going to get more of a look at the fullback spot based on what he saw, even though his runs came in what you would call "quote-unquote" garbage time. Some of it still happened with their starters in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you still did it against a Power 5 conference team, regardless. So Keelan's going to get more of a look at the fullback spot, especially in situations to carry the football, because he just looked faster.
Yeah.
He looked stronger,
more dangerous with the ball.
Yeah. He was playing at a different speed with the ball in his hands than the other fullbacks, and just in a few carries at the end of the game, I think he showed again the potential that everybody here has believed he's had since the day he came onto campus, and we saw it last year at East Tennessee State. Again, albeit against an outmanned Buccaneer team, to be sure, but just continue to hand him the football and let him continue to run up huge yardage in that matchup. So you're going to see Keelan Dirks get more opportunities at the fullback spot.
I sure do hope so, because, I mean, in the 3 games so far, I have not had much production up the middle with the fullback, so that's something we have to establish going forward, especially going into SoCon play against some pretty stout defenses. But staying on the offensive side of the ball, Andy Shumpert, he had an incredible game there, Dan. Obviously with the long touchdown grab from PJ. But yeah, just the transition from tight end to wide receiver has been seamless for him. Just loved his effort. He's a good big target for PJ, and he seems to always find the open seam and be in the right spot. So,
well, Clay said when they decided to move Andy from wide receiver to tight end, and they did it just, I think, in the last week of camp, 2 weeks before the opener. Said he did it because they thought that he would be a matchup problem for opposing defenses. And really, for the first time, we saw that manifest itself against NC State. There were a couple of opportunities in the first 2 games, and quite honestly, Andy dropped a couple of passes. But he was targeted 5 times on Saturday, caught 4 balls. The other one he didn't really have a chance to catch. And, of course, had the 71-yard touchdown run or touchdown reception. And the scheme and his ability at that spot made him a matchup difficulty even for a team like North Carolina State. So I think moving forward, that's going to be a huge weapon in Furman's arsenal. The issue is going to be getting PJ to calm down. There is considerable evidence out there to show he's much more comfortable throwing on the run. And even a couple of the throws he made, like the 71-yard touchdown pass to Shumpert, with people in his face when he had to get rid of the ball quickly. And he put it right on target. But when the plays that we've missed this year, more often than not, he's been in the pocket, he's had time to throw,
no duress.
And he has – and I told Clay this, and my untrained, as far as being a coach, observational eye, it looked like he was hurrying himself when he didn't have to hurry. That maybe he was anticipating pressure that wasn't coming. And if he holds onto the ball just one more beat, one more second, one more half second, then those near misses are going to turn into big plays. So we'll see how that how that goes moving forward. But again, I think that we've seen just in 3 weeks the big play potential of this offense.
No doubt.
Now it's time to turn that potential into performance.
You got that right. And another thing we got to point out, too, is that we had 2 really solid drives on their opening 2 possessions, but only came away with 6 points on 2 field goals by Grayson Atkins. And especially with a team like NC State, you got to come with TDs right there. The offense kind of just got stalled down in the red zone or near the red zone. So I think we got into the red zone, I think, once all day on Saturday, correct, Dan, on that first drive?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you got to get back there. You can't get stalled on the 30 to 45. Give yourself a chance to put up 6 points on the board via a touchdown. But I think overall the offense looked pretty good against a pretty good NC State defense.
All right, when we come back, we will get into Forest 3 things, which will start with some more college football. I want to spend a little bit of time talking Clemson, Louisville.
Absolutely.
Among other things. And also, don't worry, there is a little bit of baseball talk coming as well. This is the Dan Scott Show. We got everything back working the way it's supposed to be, and we'll return right after this. Don't go away.
Looking for a good lunch spot in the Travelers Rest area? The Cafe at Williams Hardware is your place. Williams Hardware has food for the whole family, from the famous Reuben to the barbecue chicken quesadilla and their daily lunch specials, which includes the award-winning BLT on pimento cheese with pepper jelly, served Tuesday to Thursday. Williams Hardware also serves breakfast on Saturdays from 8 to 11, perfect before Furman home game. And don't forget the gift shop, which offers items for anyone on your list. Go see your friends at the Cafe at Williams Hardware, 13 South Main Street in downtown TR. Full menu and operating hours at the Cafe at WilliamsHardware.com.
Say you've got a busted phone or tablet screen. Time to get a new device? Nope. Time to give it CPR. CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale can repair almost any phone or tablet screen on the market and usually can do it same day. In fact, if you have an iPhone, the fix usually takes less than an hour. CPO Cell Phone Repair also can fix computers and gaming systems, both screens and hard drives. And they sell refurbished devices and new accessories. Stop by and see the new owner, Janet Culver, today and check them out on Facebook. That's CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale, 864-282-9097. Give it CPR today. .32, and we are back. Happy to have you with us here on this Monday morning. I want to say hello to my buddy Todd Faulkner, who has, hello, these many months later, finally found us. And Todd, do not worry. Come Thanksgiving, the great turkey drop will be very much in evidence. I can promise you Les Nessman will live one more time. A quick word about our friends at Hall's Chop House, the Greenville Steakhouse downtown. Really, really excited to have them on board with us. Fantastic food. The steaks are just incredible. They have huge banquet rooms available. They can handle all of your Christmas party needs. They can handle any corporate events that you may have. You need to just get with Billy and the folks at Hall's Chop House and find out more. We're going to be telling you a lot more about the menu, a lot more about the venue as we go on, but just really encouraged and happy to have them on board with us as a sponsor. Downtown Greenville, the Greenville Steakhouse. That is Hall's Chop House. Tell them you heard about them here on the show. 3 things. I'm guessing thing 1 is college football.
We'll stick with that. We'll get to the important stuff later.
Oh. You're going to have people throwing stuff at us here if you're not careful.
So on Saturday, the game of the week was Clemson versus Louisville. And this was pretty much a rout from almost the very beginning, Dan. Clemson won 47-21. Wasn't really that close until the Louisville Cardinals put up some points late in the game when, as you say, garbage time, I guess. And, man, Kelly Bryant was very impressive, Dan. I went back and saw some of the highlights after, obviously, we were listening to the game on the radio coming back from Raleigh. But went back and watched some of his plays, and he has proved me wrong for sure. He's been outstanding in his young career so far, and just really look forward to seeing him grow even more.
So. I think he's proved through 3 games anyway, a lot of people wrong.
You got that, yeah.
And say young career, the guy, he's a junior.
Fair enough, yeah.
He's been there.
Yeah.
He's been there for a long time.
I guess in terms of playing time,
right,
I guess.
Exactly. So there were a lot of questions, and I think there still are.
Oh,
we'll see. But Clemson's defense again was just ridiculous against Lamar Jackson and the Louisville offense. And as my buddy Gene Sapikoff of the Charleston Post and Courier, who is the coordinator for the Heisman voting in the state of South Carolina, he tweeted out after the game, reminding Heisman voters that of the 371 yards of total offense Lamar Jackson ended up with in the game, 191 of those, I think it was, came in the fourth quarter, in which Clemson went into that quarter leading 33-12.
Yeah. Only had 64 yards on the ground, so that is pretty impressive right there to keep him under 100 yards.
And you know what? What was really. Yeah, and I guess if you're a Clemson fan, you can look at it 2 ways. You can either be aggravated by it or you can just laugh at it. But number one, Bobby Petrino leaving Lamar Jackson in a game like that, taking a chance on getting him hurt just so he can pad his stats. And number two, after the game, Lamar Jackson gave 0 credit to Clemson's defense. He said, well, no. He said they're not the best defense I've faced. We just didn't play our game, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard thing to say after you just got pounded at home. So, I don't think that's very viable comment, I don't think, because they are one of the best defenses in the country, hands down, from their front 70 in the secondary. But, yeah, I mean, they completely shut him down. And not only the defense for Clemson, but the rushing game for Clemson. They had 2 players that rushed for 90-plus yards. How impressive is that?
Oh, it was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It was pretty impressive. They've got, I think, the 2 best wins so far this season with
on the road at Louisville and then at home against Auburn for sure.
But that was not the only thing going on in college football.
Plenty of other stuff going on. USC escaped Texas 27-24 in double overtime here. This game was a lot closer than I thought it would be, but the Longhorns came to play, and their defense really showed up, Dan.
And the same Southern Cal team that just obliterated Stanford the week before comes to Texas and ends up nearly blowing that game.
Yeah, absolutely. They gave up 397 yards to Darnold in the air, but only gave 71 rushing yards to the USC backs. So that's some pretty impressive stuff right there for the Texas Longhorns defense. And, I mean, I was just shocked that this game was this close. I thought USC was going to win by 3 touchdowns. But as we saw, that the Stanford win was not as impressive as it seems right now, because they lost San Diego State 20-17 this week, and they fall to 1-2 on the year. So panic ensues in Palo Alto for David Shaw in the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of crazy things happening here early in the season. How about UCLA coming to Memphis and getting beat 48-45?
Yeah, Jim Mora back in the hot seat after that loss, so he's just like a hot potato, just juggling back and forth.
But there is no seat hotter than that of Kevin Sumlin.
Oh, you got that
whose
right.
A&M team lost to.
I think they won, actually. I may have missed that.
Did they beat Louisiana Lafayette?
I think I may have seen that score wrong, so that might have been my fault.
They did.
Back.
45-21.
I saw it backwards.
That was a game that they had to win.
Yeah, they were down big at one point.
With the rest of their schedule they've got coming up, so maybe a week reprieve for him. But
some other games of note: Mississippi State routed LSU 37-7. I will go and toot my own horn here. I did pick that game.
You didn't pick 37-7.
I did not, though. Yeah, and the Bulldogs just obliterated the LSU linebackers, who are pretty young right now. They've got a lot of injuries in that front. Nick Fitzgerald, 180 yards in the air, 88 yards on the ground, 2 touchdown passes, and 2 rushing touchdowns as well. So if you can't contain him, it's going to be a tough slide for them all day. And once again, the LSU offense struggled mightily, only accumulating 137 yards in the air and 133 on the ground. So when you're not running the ball well and not passing the ball well, that leads to few points, as we all know, Dan.
At least you're consistent.
There you go.
Right?
You got that right. Yep.
The game of the day had to be Tennessee, Florida.
You got that right.
The just ridiculous finish to that game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean how does a receiver get behind not one but two defenders? I mean, it's not like it was a jump ball into a mass pile of humanity at the goal line.
He was streaking down the field.
You had a receiver in a 2020 game, on the last play of the game, to either win it or go to overtime, get behind two defenders and make the catch. Basically got hit in stride. That ball was thrown almost 70 yards in the air, by the way. Just an incredible moment, but unforgivably bad, inexcusable defense by Tennessee.
It's horrible. I mean, Butch Davis, is back in the hot seat again. I mean,
everybody's on the hot seat as far as you're concerned.
I think so. I mean, they're just not winning football games that they should win. So, I mean, Florida, they've had a tough time on offense, and to let I'm not going to say a lousy quarterback, but a so-so quarterback and an offense that's not really productive beat you like that on the last play of the game, and not be prepared scheme-wise on the defensive side of the ball. You got to have three guys back at the 10-yard line essentially, because the ball's at the 37-yard line, I think, of Florida. So it was a long pass. So there's no excuse there for the defensive coordinator to not have anybody back near the goal line and essentially prevent defense. So that's just shocking on my end to have press coverage almost essentially and let the Florida players just kind of run down and catch the ball with not much trouble.
I mean, and this is a Florida team that did not have an offensive touchdown on the year until earlier in that game.
Yep.
And, in fact, their first touchdown in that game was on a pick six. And at that juncture, all three touchdowns they had scored this season had been on pick sixes. And somehow they were able to pull this game out and win it on a miracle play and just incredibly lousy defense by Tennessee. I mean, again, we have seen teams do this before. You line guys up on the goal line.
Yeah, there's no reason not to. Like that is.
I mean, and before the play starts, they're standing on the goal line.
Yeah,
nobody's getting behind you. You at the very least, you make it a jump ball situation.
Yeah,
and yet somehow, some way, Florida was able to hit the pass play and win the game, and they are reeling at Rocky Top.
No excuse on the Tennessee defensive side of the ball for a receiver to get by two defenders like that. You have to be in front of them at all times. Just really, really sorry coaching on Tennessee's part, if you ask me.
I would agree 100%.
Staying in the SEC with not many scoring opportunities, Vanderbilt beat 18th ranked Kansas State 14-7 down in Nashville. This was a barn burner back and forth between the Commodores and the Wildcats. Not much offense. Vanderbilt had 270 yards on offense. Yeah, 270 yards on offense, and Kansas State had 278. So not much going in terms of offensive production. But somehow the Commodores pulled through late in the game, scoring a touchdown in the fourth quarter to win. And once again, Kyle Shermer pulls through for the Commodores. He had a QB rating of 69.4, not his best performance, but still solid enough to win the ball game for the Commodores. And Bill Snyder does not get the win down in Nashville.
Yeah, I was a little surprised at the low-scoring nature of the game. I was surprised that Kansas State's offense didn't perform better.
Yeah, Ertz, he's a heck of a runner, man. I saw that the last few drives. I mean, he kept them in the game for as long as he could, but he just did not have enough help around him to help the the offense out. So obviously one man can't do it on offense. So they're going to need some help on the offense, on the receiving side of the ball.
All right, any other games that you've highlighted?
Yes, Stephen F. Austin beat who was it? Didn't write that down, but they won on a last-second 67-yard interception return by Incarnate Word. So just really impressive stuff there. Watch the video. Pulling up who they played just a second, but it was a miracle. Just dived in the end zone last second. Yeah, really fun to go. They beat Incarnate Word, excuse me, and the cornerback was Eliza Ward. I'm going to say, I'm not sure how to pronounce his first name, but we're going to go with that. But a 67-yard interception return to win the ball game, and he hurdled a defender at the 10-yard line. So go back and watch that incredible hurdle, and dove into the end zone just before the defender could get there. But just a really incredible way to finish a ball game for Stephen F. Austin.
Yeah, Cincinnati beat Miami of Ohio. Wasn't the last play of the game, but it happened inside the final minute of the game, returning an interception for a touchdown.
Yeah,
so we have seen some colossal mistakes on the part of several teams early this season, and it seems like this past weekend was a big weekend for just that.
Southern Conference scores, just real quick, just want to mention a couple. Citadel beat ETSU 31-25, a lot closer than that should have been. Robert Morris blanked VMI 23-0. Western beat Gardner-Webb 42-27. And UT Martin goes into Chattanooga and beats the Mocs 21-7. Chat and the ETSU Citadel game both surprised me a little bit. Don't think Chat is as good as we thought they were, and possibly even the Bulldogs.
Well, Clay Hendricks also pointed out on his show yesterday, we were talking about the scores in the Southern Conference, and he said, it was probably a fairly long week for the Citadel.
That's true. We'll give him that.
With the being displaced because of everything that was going on in Charleston with the weather and the hurricane and everything, and practicing up here and doing. He said that very well could have had an effect on the way that they played.
I completely agree with that.
Doesn't know
sure
if it did, but it very well could have. But still, I was surprised by that score as well.
Yep. Thing two, the Indians and the Astros both clinched their respective divisions yesterday. They are the third teams, to clinch postseason berths. And actually, right after that, the Dodgers clinched a berth last night after their win. But the Indians, they've won back-to-back AL Central Division crowns. And this is pretty special for them, too, because last year they were not able to celebrate any of their victories at Progressive Field. So this is really cool for them to celebrate this win and the clinching at home. The first AL team to clinch, and this is their 9th division title, and they had a pretty good run back in the early 90s. I mean, the late 90s and early 2000s, and they won 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. That's 5 in a row there, Dan. Didn't win it in 2000, but they won it in 2001. So that's 6 of 7. It's not a bad streak right there. The Astros, they won their first AL West crown in the home debut of Justin Verlander, who went 7 innings and struck out 10, only allowing 1 earned run. This is their 7th division crown in team history, and their first since also they won a pretty good streak in the late 90s and early 2000s. They won 4 or 5 from 97 to 01, so good stuff by the Astros.
That's when, of course, they were in the National League.
Yep.
And this is their first one since they moved to the American League in 2013. So, and it's been just incredible to watch the rebuilding of that franchise. Because they took it completely apart, and they were among the worst teams in baseball for a couple of seasons as they made that transition into the American League. But man, have they come along and
huge strides
and turned it around. Yeah, they have built that thing down there. At least for the time being. And
they've drafted extremely well done. It's been unbelievable how many of their top picks have turned out, and that's usually not the case for first-round draft picks. to have that many hit that quick.
All right. What about thing 3?
Thing 3. So on Saturday night, the USC and Texas drew almost 90,000. On some websites it said a sellout, but on some it didn't say a sellout, so we'll just say close to a sellout. We'll say 90,000.
That was at the Coliseum.
At the Coliseum, yes, sir. Yep. The next day, the Rams played there and only drew 56,000. And just down the highway, the Chargers at their new stadium, or the stadium of the LA Galaxy, they could not sell out a 27,000 seat arena. They only drew 25,000 fans. So even if you combine those two attendances, it does not outperform what USC and Texas did on Saturday night. So Dan, 2 questions here, and kind of a similar answer. Is college football more important in the West Coast now? And can LA house 2 NFL teams?
Yes and no.
Fair. Okay, thanks for joining us.
Well, I mean, I think just those numbers, just those numbers would seem to indicate that college football means more on the West Coast than the NFL, and LA hasn't had a team in how many years until the Rams went back there. So look, the NFL's wanted to get a team back in the second largest market in the country. Now they've got 2 teams there. The Padres, the Chargers should still be in San Diego. That debacle never should have happened.
Agreed.
And for whatever reason, since the glory days of the Rams, maybe back in the 1950s.
Yeah.
The NFL and Los Angeles has had a checkered history. With the Rams leaving, with the Raiders going, and then going back to Oakland. Now the Rams have come back again, and now the Chargers are in. The league again has just been intent on getting somebody in there, and I think if you look at the overall health of the league, if you looked at the television ratings prior to last year, and looked at the other factors, they really didn't need Los Angeles.
I completely agree with that.
But for whatever reason, they wanted Los Angeles. Okay, now you've got Los Angeles twice.
Yeah.
And what good is it doing you? We saw what the attendance was. I don't know what the TV ratings were, but I can't imagine they would be very good. So, take that for what it's worth. And speaking of TV ratings, back to college football for a second.
Please.
Did you see where Fox's Saturday night game,
USC
and Texas, had higher ratings than the ABC game?
Really?
Yes.
That was Louisville Clemson. That shocks me, Dan. I'm on the edge of my seat right now.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
First time that Fox, since they've gone to the primetime college football game on Saturday night, it's the first time they've won that ratings battle.
Do you have any reason to why that is, you think, or just
no idea?
Maybe because it was a blowout in the first few quarters and everyone switched over to the USC game, Texas game?
All I know is I just saw the numbers. Just saw the numbers.
That is pretty astounding there, Dan.
Yeah. The other question was that I said no to was what?
Well,
I forgot what I said.
You answered
no
the second question first, and you said no to that one. The first question was, is college football bigger in the West Coast now than the NFL?
You
said yes.
I think the attendance would say that yes, it is.
I think so too.
Well, and West Coast, okay, is it bigger in Seattle? No.
Okay.
Is it bigger in Oakland? No. But in Los Angeles right now, college football is bigger. So I don't think you can say the entire West Coast.
Okay.
Because the Seahawks, those people are crazy.
Oh yeah, 12th man out there. They take that stuff seriously.
And even with the Raiders moving to Los Angeles, or moving to Las Vegas rather, coming up, still in Oakland, there's nothing college football wise that compares to the Raiders. So to quantify and say the entire West Coast, no. But in Los Angeles, I think it's pretty clear right now that college football is king.
I think so. I think it's only growing, Dan, because obviously the NFL is on a downturn slide right now. So maybe look for the college football realm to the kingdom to get even further.
All right, let's take one more break. We'll come back with a quick final segment, get some final thoughts, get the trivia question answer, and put a wrap on what's been something of a disjointed program today. This is the Dan Scott Show, and we'll be back right after this. Don't go away. The Atlanta Bread Company wants to make your dining experience as convenient as possible, especially if you're ordering takeout. Go online to atlantabreadcompany.com, place your order there, and pay for it too. Then, when you get to the restaurant at Cherrydale Point, you breeze right by the cash registers and go straight to the pickup counter where your food will be waiting. And speaking of food, try the new Shrimp Po' Boy, a delicious and surprisingly healthy addition to the already great menu. That's the Atlanta Bread Company, Cherrydale Point in Greenville.
Hey Furman fans, it's baseball season. Here at Ingalls, we know that as you root for the home team, sometimes you want more than just peanuts and Cracker Jack. And while we do deliver on your favorite ballpark classics, we're proud to offer a packed lineup of everything you need to make your next meal a home run. Ingalls, a proud sponsor of Furman Baseball and the official grocery store of Furman Athletics. Go Dins!
The Atlanta Bread Company. Hi, welcome back to the show. Dan Scott, Forrest Stulting. Before we close up shop, I want to spend a bit of time talking about the Walk a Mile project. Heath Burdett and some folks over in the Anderson area have started this nonprofit organization that is trying to spread the word about what they do. They are a 501c3 humanitarian aid organization. Their goal is to organize, build, encourage, and invest in ways to meet the physical needs of impoverished communities around the world. They encourage and equip groups on how to go, how to prepare for a trip, how to form a trip, how to raise funds, and how to do things like build houses, feed a village, conduct medical clinics, and so on. One of their focuses is Guatemala and building homes and the infrastructure, the things that they talked about there. It is a wonderful, wonderful organization, and I would highly suggest that you visit the website you see there on the screen for more information, the whamproject.org, wamproject.org, and you're going to be hearing a lot more about them as we move forward here on the show. Trivia answer.
Yes, sir. Question. Topic. Furman football. What is the longest pass in Furman history, and who threw it?
Longest touchdown
pass. Excuse me, yeah. Longest touchdown pass in Furman football history.
Chris Forcier to Cedric Cunningham.
Nope.
I just saw somebody put that up on Facebook, so I thought I would try to steal it just in case.
Fair enough. But it's a trick question. There's two answers. They're both 92 yards long.
Okay.
David Sharpia to Chaz Fox versus ETSU in 1983. A 28-7 victory for the Paladins. And Philly Jones to Rick Ford versus Georgia Southern in 1993 in a 31-19 loss at the hands of the Eagles.
Okay. So 92 yards.
92 yards. Happened twice.
Happened twice.
Sharpia to Fox, Jones to Ford.
Okay.
So.
All right, what about, you got some on this day for us?
Oh, you got that right. We're kind of going back a ways for the first one here, Dan. In 1848, baseball rule is that the first baseman can tag the bag instead of the runner for the out at first. So that's how far back that goes, I guess. Pretty cool stuff there. In 1963, it is the final game at the Polo Grounds. 1,752 Philadelphia Phillies beat the New York Mets 55-1. In 1980, got two 84s here actually. Tim Raines is the first player to steal 70 or more bases in 4 straight seasons. And the Detroit Tigers clinched the American League East division title over the Brewers, and they are in first place from day 1 to the last day. And it is the 4th time that has happened in the history of the Major League Baseball. Yankees, 27 Yankees, 55 Dodgers. There's actually 3, so they're the 3rd team. Excuse me. So they're the 3rd team to be in first place from the first day to the last day.
This was the Tigers in '84.
Tigers in '84.
Okay.
Yeah. Excuse me.
I don't know if anybody did it between '84 and 1990, but the Reds did it in 1990. They went wire to wire in 1990.
Right on. So that makes 4.
That would have been the 4th.
Good stuff there. All right, moving right along. Darrell Evans, who's 40 years old, is the first player to hit 30 home runs, 40 or to be 40 and hit 30 home runs. And in that was in '87, excuse me. And in 2013, this will touch you a little bit, Dan. Billy Hamilton makes his debut, reaches base 5 times, steals 4 bags.
If he could get on base with any regularity at all, it would be ridiculous what he would do. But you got that kind of speed, and you keep hitting the ball in the air. You know,
ain't gonna work out for you too much.
Lou Brown, man. Every time I see you hit it in the air, you owe me 20 push-ups. You know,
you got that right. Yeah, at least 20 push-ups.
It ain't that hard.
Yep.
Hit it on the ground. Use your speed. And what's incredible about that, I don't know if it's happened since, but I heard last week during a broadcast, and I know teams are more prepared for it now to a greater degree. But with his speed, Hamilton only has 3 bunt hits this year.
Why is he not trying that more often? Is my question.
There you go.
Are they just sniffing it out? Or
well, I mean, again, teams. Every time he comes to bat, corners come in on the grass.
Sure.
Because of his speed, but still.
I mean, he needs to butt in the off season a few 100,000 times to be. I mean, to be able to get that down. I mean, with that speed, if you just get it in a somewhat decent area, you're going to be safe more times than not.
Mm-hmm.
So.
You got anything else? We've done all the damage we can do?
I think so. Just congrats to the Drive on winning their first 2017 South Atlantic League Championship. So go Drive. And hoping for a big win this weekend at Colgate, too.
There we go. All right, we will be back with you tomorrow here on the Dan Scott Show, hopefully without the technical glitches. And when we do return, we'll be talking, obviously, more college football. And got to check with our good buddy Billy Davis to see if he's going to be able to get back with us. Also expect before the week is out, Doug Allison, the men's soccer coach, Andrew Burr, the women's soccer coach here, and some other folks that we're working on as well. Until then, for Forrest, I'm Dan, saying God bless you, and so long, everybody. We will see you tomorrow.